Welcome back to the channel. What if everything you thought you knew about history was reversed? What if, instead of Europe conquering Africa, Africa had colonized Europe? Imagine a world where London, Paris, and Berlin were shaped by African empires, where European languages were erased, where African culture, systems, and power defined the modern world. Sounds impossible, but today we're going to explore it, not just as a fantasy, but as a deep, thought-provoking look at power, history, and how the world we know could have been completely different. This is What If Africa Colonized Europe? Before we flip history, we need to understand it. Between the 15th and 20th centuries, European powers colonized vast parts of Africa. They controlled land, resources, politics, and reshaped entire societies. But Africa was not weak. Long before colonization, Africa was home to powerful empires. Asterisk Mali Empire, asterisk Songhai Empire, asterisk Kingdom of Benin, asterisk Ancient Egypt, asterisk Ethiopia. These civilizations had advanced systems of governance, trade, architecture, and knowledge. So the real question is not could Africa have been powerful? It already was. The real question is, what if that power had expanded outward instead of being interrupted? Let's imagine a turning point. Instead of Europe rising through maritime exploration, African civilizations developed advanced naval technology first. West African empires, rich from gold and trade, invest heavily in shipbuilding. North African powers dominate Mediterranean routes. East African traders expand into global commerce. And then expansion begins. But this time, Africa looks north. African empires begin arriving on European shores. Asterisk Spain becomes a strategic trade colony. Asterisk Italy falls under influence through Mediterranean control. Asterisk France and Britain face organized military expansion. European kingdoms, divided and less globally connected, struggle to resist. And slowly, Europe becomes colonized. Now imagine the consequences. 1. Language and culture. Instead of English, French, or Spanish dominating the world, languages like asterisk Swahili, asterisk Arabic, asterisk Yoruba, asterisk Amharic become global languages. European languages might be reduced to local dialects or disappear entirely. 2. Religion and belief systems. African spiritual systems and Islamic influence from North Africa spread across Europe. Traditional African beliefs, philosophies, and cosmology become mainstream. 3. Economics and resources. Instead of Africa being exploited for resources, Europe becomes a resource base. Asterisk European minerals fuel African empires. Asterisk European labor supports African economies. Asterisk trade routes center around African capitals. 4. Power and identity. This is where it gets deeper. The global image of power, intelligence, and beauty would shift. African identity becomes a global standard, and Europe becomes a developing world. Colonization is not just about land. It's about mindset. If Africa had colonized Europe, asterisk European history would be rewritten. Asterisk African perspectives would dominate education. Asterisk European traditions might be labeled primitive. Think about that. The way people see themselves, their confidence, their place in the world, all shaped by who holds power. European characters might be underrepresented or stereotyped. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Colonization, no matter who does it, comes with consequences. So the question isn't just, would Africa have done better? The real question is, would colonization itself still cause harm? Possible outcomes. Asterisk exploitation might still exist. Asterisk cultural erasure could still happen. Asterisk resistance movements would likely rise in Europe because colonization is less about who and more about power imbalance. This thought experiment teaches us something powerful. History is not inevitable. The world we live in today is a result of specific events, timing, and advantages. If just a few things had changed, everything could be different. Asterisk Africa was never without civilization. Asterisk power shapes global narratives. Asterisk identity is influenced by history. Asterisk, and most importantly, the future is still being written. So, what if Africa had colonized Europe? Maybe the world wouldn't necessarily be better, but it would definitely be different. And understanding that difference helps us better understand our present. Because history isn't just about the past. It's about power, perspective, and possibility. If this made you think differently, hit the like button, subscribe, and let me know in the comments. Do you think the world would be better or just different